Good Saturday morning, everybody. Welcome to the Marketing Corner. I am your host, Sean Campbell, and it's fitting that we have the 1st of March. We have a Campbell and two McPaddens in studio today. Yeah, so I had actually did some research, and I was always wondering if there was ever any conflict between the McPaddens and Campbells, and fortunately, there's not. So we're gonna be nice and
Okay.
safe today. Nice and safe today. How you doing,
Yeah.
Danny?
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
let's do it.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
do it.
How you been? Everything good?
Yeah, everything's good. Just been busy as
Yeah,
usual,
yeah.
cranking out videos.
Yeah, today is a show's first. You're the first sponsor slash co-host to bring your better half to the studio today.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
marriage therapy session.
I heard that a number of times this week. What, did you change the format of your show? And I'm like, no, I did not. I did not. So everything's good. Everything's
Yeah,
good.
no, yeah, no.
Yeah,
I figured it'd be a good idea because Sandy has got a lot of
yeah,
insight into her
yeah.
nonprofit that she helps run, and then
Mm-hmm.
her animal training and
Yeah,
behavior business
yeah,
that
yeah,
she founded a few years ago.
yeah. And I'm not just saying this, Sandy, but it's a pleasure to meet you finally.
Wow.
I've known Danny and I have known each other for
2021, beginning
yeah,
of 2021.
yeah, so good 5 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
and he brags about you every single time we talk.
I'm really easy to brag
Yeah,
about.
you
I
gotta
do
get a little
really
bit
cool
closer.
stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, she
Oh
knows.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
She is a social media wizard. She's got a lot of
Hmm.
tips and tricks up her sleeve.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Sandy. Tell us a little bit about Little Lotus Rescue and Sanctuary
Yeah,
and your animal behavior consulting.
great. Yeah, my mom and I founded Little Lotus in 2016.
Hmm.
It's an animal rescue and sanctuary here in southern Arizona.
Hmm.
Um, and we did it all by ourselves. We had no idea what we were doing, and we
Wow.
just started rescuing animals. She's been in vet tech her entire adult life, and that just kind of always resulted in bringing home ill, injured animals to our house and like setting up ICU
And
there.
in talking to you, Danny, over the years, list some of the animals that you bring home. It's not
Oh my
just
God.
like
Okay. Yeah.
dogs and cats.
It's the whole gamut.
Yeah.
It's guinea pigs. It's goats. It is alpaca.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
We've had
Emus.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and what are the other some of the exotic ones?
parrots all day long.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's not just the dogs and cats that need rescuing, it's
Right.
everybody. So
What
we
do your
just say
neighbors
yes.
think of the two of you?
Well, I don't. We just got new neighbors, and it's
Okay.
funny because
Yeah.
he came up and introduced himself and was like, "Hey, new neighbor, just to give you a warning, like I'm setting up a metal workshop in our backyard, so
Okay.
it might
Okay.
get a little noisy."
Yeah.
And I just kind of looked at him and laughed, like, "Yeah,
We'll be all
you'll
right.
see what noisy is. Yeah, wait till our birds come cracking off in the
Yeah.
morning."
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's everything.
Yeah.
We got some at our house, and then a whole
Yeah.
bunch of animals at her mom's farm down in Sierra
Mhm.
Vista.
Yeah.
So that's where I mean it's like hundreds.
we're
Yeah.
a foster-based organization, so we
Uh-huh.
have animals in
Mhm.
different places all over the place, and
Mhm.
it's whoever can open their home temporarily for somebody in need, then
Mhm.
that's where they go.
How is it that you fund this? I mean, as a nonprofit, I mean, and what are the struggles? There's so many things that I was looking forward to the show, but one of the aspects is that there's so many nonprofits. I mean, what do you do to get your name out there, Sandy's, to receive funds?
Yeah, that's tricky, and right now it's changing a whole lot. So we've been a very
Mhm.
small organization for many years, and this year's the year that we're going to start with capital funding and trying
Mhm.
to get property for ourselves.
Mhm.
So we're
Wow.
going from a foster-based organization, and we've just kind of outgrown our mom and pop mentality, and now we need to get
Mhm.
bigger, and now we're trying to do more outreach, going into schools with animals. We
Mm.
want to be able to bring the community into the organization because not everybody
Mhm.
is able
Mm.
to bring in a foster animal to their house, and that's fine, but there are plenty of ways that they can help. So we want to open a facility where people can come in and they can
Mhm.
help in that way.
Mhm.
And that means that fundraising is changing a lot for us. So social media has played a huge role in how we do all of our
Love it.
fundraising
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
People like behind the scenes. There are a lot of nonprofits. And then on top of that, in Southern Arizona, we have a lot of animal rescues. So it's not just us. There's
Mhm.
a lot of, we're competing against a lot of other organizations. And people want transparency. And the easiest way that I was able to show transparency was social media. I don't mind
Yeah.
jumping on Instagram and
Yeah.
showing the dog diapers that I'm changing or showing the horse stalls that I'm cleaning or, you know,
Yeah.
bandaging somebody's leg or going to vet appointments all day. I bring people along when we go to pack and we pull animals from pack. And I think people feel comforted when they can see, you know, where the animals are being housed, you know, the veterinary care that we're providing. And then if they have to make the choice between who they're going to donate to, if they feel like they've got some kind of connection with me or they've gotten to know an animal over time, then that's been really helpful for us. So social media is invaluable for what I do.
Yeah.
And she's got the news on speed dial too. So
Oh,
she actually has
wow.
an event next week with the news and then Jim Click event.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell
Yeah,
them what's going on.
So
Yeah,
there's a new
absolutely.
there's a new law that says you can't drive with your pet on your lap anymore, and as an animal behavior. So
You
an
see
animal
that
rescue.
every day in Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Correct.
The little
So-
chihuahuas, the little
Oh yeah.
Yorkies. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as much as I love animals and we have piles of them and I work with them through the nonprofit and professionally as an animal behaviorist, I mean, it's not a good idea, right? So one of our ways of fundraising is Jim Click is awesome. And every year he does this Jim Click Millions for Tucson where he raffles off a car. So I sell
Wow.
raffle tickets for the rescue.
Oh, okay.
But we're allowed to bring this car anywhere if we ask a few days in advance. So it came on the news saying that, you know, you can't have your dog on your lap distracted driving. You will get a traffic citation for it.
Right.
But then what do people do? Because not everybody knows what you're supposed to do with your pet if they're always clamoring on your lap. So I'm going to hang out with K-Gun this
Oh,
week
cool.
and show people how to properly restrain their animals so you're not getting a ticket while you got like Fido sitting on your lap. But then I'm bringing that in and saying, okay, well, if I need a vehicle to show that, not just Sandy as a behaviorist for my professional business, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to ask for this vehicle to be there. And I can say, hey, look, if you want to donate, if you want to buy a raffle ticket, win this amazing car, you can do that. And also here are the ways that we can secure our dog safely. So sometimes it's me trying to be a little bit more creative and tying all of these things together where I can.
Well, what about the dogs that just have that habit? They're going to jump in the car and they're going to get on their owner's lap while they're driving. Do you have any?
Seatbelts. Seatbelts are my favorite. So when
Yeah.
you adopt an animal from Little Lotus Rescue, they get an email before they come to their meet and greet. So they have an application process. It's like 3 pages. We do home visits. But when they finally meet the dog, they have to come ready to adopt. So we send them a shopping list, which also we have an Amazon shopping list and we get a kickback from that. So it's another way that we do fundraising. So we say, hey, look, best harnesses in our experience are this, best leashes, crates. These are all the things that we're going to set you up for success with. Also, if you buy it off of this list, you're making a donation to LLR.
I see.
So we're getting income in that way. But when they do it, they have to come with either a kennel to take the dog home safely, or they have to come with a seatbelt. There are a lot of different ways that you can do it. We give them links for canopies for the back seat. So we set everybody up for success. And at the same time, we're making a profit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
little way that we can get donations, we're trying to look at every angle possible where we're not, you know, asking for huge sums of money, because that is how our nonprofit works right now. We're working on $5 and $10 donations, and this is
Wow.
saving thousands of animals a
Yeah.
year just from within our
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
And she also knows a video producer too that helps out with some
Yeah,
videos.
I was going to ask that question. We'll save that question for the next segment, so we
right,
can kind of
yeah.
get into that.
Yeah, let's-
Because I'm
yeah.
real curious. Don't say anything yet. I'm real curious how much the two of you collaborate, and if you collaborate well or not.
Yeah,
That's a
okay.
whole nother.
Yeah, we'll save that
Another
one.
segment. Yeah. Yeah. So, was this always a love for you, Sandy? The animals and
Yeah, I mean, that's how we
Yeah.
met. So
Yeah.
since I was a kid, I think I was 6 when I went to SeaWorld for the first time.
oh wow.
And I was quiet. I never said a word. I had no friends growing up, and it was always animals. I'm like the quintessential weird horse girl. So
Huh.
it was always animals. I went to U of A, had a psychology degree. I was an intern at Reed Park.
Wow.
The first animals I learned to work with were polar bears, and we still have
Really?
those here. Yeah.
Really?
So I always knew I wanted to be an animal trainer. I got my graduate degree in applied behavior analysis. So where most of my
Yeah.
colleagues work with children diagnosed with autism,
Yeah.
I work with animals instead.
My first job was at Reed Park.
No, it wasn't?
I was a burger flipper at the snack bar.
Oh, no kidding.
Get
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I used to do that and rent the boats across at the lake. I don't think they have the boats there anymore.
No.
Yeah, yeah. That's where I met my not now ex, but yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And the only friends I had during college were the people I worked with that went to college there too.
Wow.
Yeah, I did not like school. I was just very much the only friends that I made during
That's-
my college years were while I was flipping burgers at the Reed Park Zoo.
That's
the little
sick.
the little snack bar. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you probably got all sorts of like
Yeah.
all sorts of like cool repark
Oh, I
swag,
do.
right? Like the old shirts and hats.
There's a whole nother story to talk about. All right, we're done with the first segment of the marketing corner. We'll be back with Sandy and Danny McPadden. We are back in the marketing corner. I'm your host, Sean Campbell, and we've got co-host today, Danny McPadden, and a very special guest, his better half, his wife, Sandy McPadden. So, okay, we saved this segment just for this. How do you guys collaborate? Do you guys work well together, or do you guys totally just
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
to
yeah.
yourselves?
Well, yeah. I mean, she has a big focus on videos, so she's always tapping me on the shoulder. Hey, I need a video for this.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
And
He's busy.
I do what I can, but it's like the cobbler's kids
Yeah.
is the last to get a pair of shoes, right?
Right,
Right. But any chance I get, we'll knock something out.
Yeah.
I think we work very well together.
Yeah.
But she always says that I'm hard on her, right? I'm behind the camera directing,
Right.
and I'm hard on her performance. And she's like, "Are you this mean to all your clients?"
You know, one of the reasons I love working with Danny, because I don't need there to supervise. I sit there and hang out, try to help you out a little bit.
Yeah.
But I love watching Danny work because I do a very good impression of Danny with his clients.
Please let me see it.
So if there's something that could be corrected or done a little bit better, Danny's like, okay, this was really, really good. I like the way you did that. But that one little thing, can you just do that? Everything else is great. You do the positive sandwich thing, and you're super soft. Yeah, you do. You say something great, you say the correction, and then and you're so like just almost apologetic when you do it.
Yeah.
He's not that way with you.
No, the patience,
No,
the
I don't get
patience
that
isn't
version
quite
of
there.
him.
But I'll say because I know what she's capable of,
Oh,
so
yeah,
I know that
yeah,
she can
yeah.
do a better job,
Mhm.
and so I'm kind of holding her to a very high standard,
Okay.
and I'm not going to let her off the hook until
Right.
I feel that we have that performance.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not wrong. I am happy with everything, and
Mm-hmm.
the best part of it is I'm argumentative and I'm loud and I'm outgoing,
Yeah.
and he's
Mhm.
quiet and he's chill and
Yeah.
he's like usually
Yeah.
really go with the flow
Yeah.
until it comes to filming,
Uh-huh.
and then it's like, well, you know, if you were to step on my toes with animal behavior or behavior in general or animals in general, I'd be like 100% no, this is my world
Right.
that you've stepped into, and
Right.
now you need to take a step back. But
Yeah.
so I try to do the same with him, and he's right every time. He's right. He's like, Sandy, I don't think we should go in that direction. I really think that you should focus on this, and I will pout for 30 seconds, and then I'll give it to him just so we can be done with it. And then
Yeah.
when he gives me the product, I'm like, oh, we need to do this more often. Like
Yeah.
we do.
But it's also good is because I can take
Mm-hmm.
all those little 10-second like pouting sessions, which are comical, right? And I'll front load that at the beginning of a video or the end,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Just kind
yeah.
of the cold starts,
Right,
and
right.
it works. It usually works pretty well, and she
Yeah.
has no idea that I'm going to do it until
Right,
she sees the
until
video.
she
You would think it's literally the pinned video on our Instagram right now on LLR is the most recent video you did, and he focused on, and I'm really bad about big picture thinking. I'm like always in the moment. I'm always behind. I'm always trying to catch up. I'm always like thinking about the next animal that I have to pull. And I'm not super great about thinking big picture all the time. And that's when Danny's like, hey, like, why don't we focus? And what was the last one you did with me? We had to do like, there were three things that set me as, not
Yeah,
me, but
yeah.
LLR apart.
So we just started a YouTube channel for her
Nice,
to
nice.
basically 5 to 6 minute long videos.
Yeah.
Each
yeah.
one focuses on a specific like training or
Yeah.
behavior topic
Yeah.
for dogs. I mean, we're
Right.
going to expand it to other
Right.
animals, but
Yeah.
but right now it's just dogs.
The
Yeah.
cool thing about that is when you have a 5-minute clip that you're putting, not a clip, a video that you're putting up on YouTube, then for me, I break those down. Like when you're monetizing on TikTok, 1 minute. Like that's what you
Right.
want is a 1-minute video.
Right.
Right now is what they're pushing. So the way that Danny's making the videos now is it makes the 5-minute looks great, right? It's a conversation that I'm having with people asking questions, like an Ask Sandy sort of a thing. But I can break those down into 1-minute sections, toss them up on TikTok. That means that I've got 5 days worth of product
Yeah.
that I can put up there.
Right.
And it's really easily digestible in that for that group of people. And then obviously you link it back to YouTube, like, hey, if you want to see the whole thing, jump over on YouTube. And so if people want a longer format, they can hang
Have you
out there.
tried those minute videos as shorts on YouTube yet?
I put them up there, but I haven't played with you with those. And
Yeah.
of all of the places that we can put video, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok are really familiar to me. YouTube is like this really new
Yeah.
land for me that
Right.
he's way more familiar with. So
Yeah.
that's when I have to sit down with him and be like, hey,
Yeah.
can you just break this down for me and tell me where I'm supposed to be putting what and when?
Yeah.
And that's what we're exploring now.
Try using the TikTok videos for your shorts as well. Just and let's follow up and just
Cool.
out of
Yeah.
curiosity,
Okay.
because I get way more views on we got like airplanes flying over.
Freedom.
Yeah, way more views right now on my YouTube shorts than I'm getting on TikTok
Yeah.
with the same content.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, by
Okay.
5, 6, 7 times as much.
That's easy because the
Yeah.
metrics
Yeah.
are easy to follow
Right,
on both of
right,
those. So I can sit
right.
there and watch views.
Yeah.
I've had like on TikTok, I've got a couple videos on there that are a couple million
Yeah.
views.
Yeah.
So
On
yeah,
TikTok,
and YouTube, I'm just not as
Yeah.
familiar. So that's what we're playing with now
Yeah.
is trying to see
So, yeah.
how to utilize YouTube.
Yeah, so
in the
you
best way.
monetize on TikTok now. One of our clients is Animal Experts. Do you know those guys?
The pest guys, right?
Well, they go get like raccoons that are stuck in chimneys and,
Oh.
I've
and
seen them. I don't know
and-
about them.
Yeah, one of their videos hit like 22 million in.
Oh, wow.
Was it the owl?
Yeah,
I saw
the
that.
little pick me out. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
saw
Hit
that.
22 million
And that
Yeah.
was 22 million on which platform?
on TikTok. Yeah,
It even popped up
Yeah.
organically for me.
Yeah.
It was a cute little guy.
so.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't want to say how much they earned the first few weeks after that, but it was a nice chunk of change. I don't want to
Yeah.
disclose what
Oh,
they
yeah,
earned,
yeah.
but it was
So
great.
they were able to monetize
Yeah.
at that moment.
Yeah,
when it
because of that
started.
one particular video, and their followers went from like maybe 10,000 to nearly 100,000 in about
Wow.
a week.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing what one video can do for you.
Right, right. Especially with animals, right? I mean, I'm not saying
Yeah.
by any means this is easy for you at all.
Sure.
However, I mean, animals kind of pull at our heartstrings, right? So.
I got to balance it because I have really
Yeah.
bad stories, and not everybody gets excited
Right,
about
right.
the really hard cases, the really
Yeah.
hard to see or
Yeah.
be around cases. So
Yeah.
I have to balance it. I have to kind of sometimes my videos with more. Danny's the one who really harps on me for this music. Music will
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
make
Yeah.
or break a video, and
Yeah.
I wasn't really great about it. And he was like, "Hey, I think you're like sending this a little too
Mm.
like on the nose. You've got a sad video, you've got sad music." And I tried something else, and he was like, "Yeah, that like go with something more upbeat to give people like a little bit more motivation to
Yeah.
click, to support, to what."
Yeah.
And he was right
Yeah.
to my frustration.
Yeah. One of the biggest lessons that I learned about video from Danny was how important audio is.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that you've preached, a few times on a few
Yeah.
of our podcasts and the show is like, I mean, and tell us why, Danny. Tell us why
Yeah,
audio is something that you should not overlook.
Right. Yeah. I say this a lot, and it's interesting because it always catches people off guard. Because
Right.
like, what audio? Like, no, like visuals are the most important. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's people's first instinct. But I believe that audio is kind of like the most primal form of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Before video, there was radio, and before that, people sitting around campfires telling stories.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people are more attuned
Mm-hmm.
to that primal form of storytelling, and I think that audio just really like pulls you into a story.
Yeah.
Like when you have the sound effects right, when you
Yeah.
have the music right,
Yeah.
and the whole sound design all flowing together.
Mm-hmm.
It taps into a certain emotion that you wouldn't have felt otherwise if it was just
Yeah.
just dialogue.
Yeah. Is there any particular videos that Danny has done that are some of your favorite besides your own? Is there any projects that he's worked on that you're like, wow, that's amazing?
Yeah, he just recently did one in the education world, and the graphics that he's starting to play with always make me really excited. When he got, there were kids like clapping their hands, and there was like, and he always makes sure that he kind of matches the tone of the video. So the graphics that are there are like hand-drawn graphics instead of, and it kind of matched the vibe of the kid getting excited, and there was like a scream bubble, and like the music went from, and I don't see it until he tears it apart. My problem with, and this is why I work with my hands and not with videos, but I can see a whole thing and go, I love how I felt after I saw that, or like I'm totally into it, and what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Danny will say, but what do you think about this? And he'll pull a layer apart, and I'm like, Danny, I didn't even realize that that was there. But when you add the heartbeat back, I think it was
Right.
like a heartbeat that you added in there with the kid, and it was like excitement. It was showing like the build up before
Yeah.
the kid,
Yeah.
and there was a heartbeat layered in the back that was getting faster and faster, and I would have never been able to pin it. But he pulled it out and just asked me if it was too much. I was like, no, I love that anxiety. Just put it in there.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it totally
Yeah.
felt like I felt it.
Yeah.
And I can't do that. I can't think in layers. It's whatever's in front of me. I can tell you I like it or not. But that was the one
Yeah.
recently where I was like, it was a pull of audio and new graphics that you're
Yeah.
working on, like motion graphics,
And-
was so cool.
And and kind of back to like the audio point, and I'll
Yeah.
I'll keep it brief here, but
Yeah.
I was watching behind the scenes Ford versus Ferrari, that movie, great movie if you haven't
yeah.
seen it.
Yeah.
But the audio engineer was saying that there was a scene where the CEO of Ford walks out, and he's like pissed because production is at an all-time low and they're losing money, and to help set the tone for the scene of the CEO walking out, they added footsteps that
Oh.
echo against the factory
Yeah.
walls,
Yeah.
and they had to play with it because they didn't have it in there at first. But once they put the footsteps in there, it really like set that
Interesting.
like
Yeah.
that
moment.
anxiety
Right.
like feeling of like, oh, something bad's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. We got about a minute left till this this segment. But if you have any questions for either Sandy or Danny, it's 520-790-2040. I am on Instagram Live right now. If you have any questions there, if you're watching us, put them in the chat, and we'll address them there. So I got a few more topics. I'm not going to keep you guys in suspense, keep the audience in suspense of what we're going to talk about. It's going to be good. Nothing bad. You guys are going to
All right.
still adore each other after we leave, I promise. So you are listening to the Marketing Corner. I'm your host, Sean Campbell. We'll be back in a little bit. We're back in the Marketing Corner. I am your host, Sean Campbell. We have special guests today, Sandy and Danny McPadden. The two of you are phenomenal together, and you can tell you're very much connected. You know, soon you walked in down the hallway together. You guys are very much in tune together. As entrepreneurs, though, how do you maintain that? You know, both of you have your businesses, right? Very different businesses, right?
Super.
You know, Sandy, you're in the world of, you know, in your world with animals, animal rescue, animal behavior. And Danny, you're I mean, phenomenal videographer, the best I've ever met, hands down.
Thank you.
Right? Sandy, you're very outgoing. You seem, you know, very animated. Danny's one of the laid back, coolest dudes ever. How do you guys like cohabitate? How do you do this? You know, how do you maintain that
Yeah.
that strength
was
that
it.
you guys have?
Yeah,
That
I
was
mean, that was
exactly
a
it.
pretty good rundown. I
Yeah.
mean, my description would be more like chaos all the time.
Yeah.
But Sandy, I don't know, might be able to do a better job of describing.
No, there's no way that there could be like two super chill, cool with everything, mellow people, or two chaotic, insane, doesn't know how to sit down people. Danny can tell me like, first of all, we met through the rescue. So Danny never had a pet, and he was in the military when I met him.
Now I have
okay.
all the pets.
Now you got them all.
That's right. So, but he was going to foster. He was at
Oh, wow.
he was training in Southern Arizona, and I was looking for fosters. Like, and it doesn't matter. But anyways, we were looking for fosters. He was like, I can foster for 3 months, and game over. Now he went from 0 pets to like literally all of the pets. So he knew what he was getting into. But
Right.
yeah, no. He's really calm, and when I come in a panic, and that's every day I have a new panic, every day I have a new emergency or a new fire that I'm putting out, and I can blast into his office, and I'm like, you will never, and he's like, give me 2 seconds, let me finish this thought on this video, and I'm like, are you hyper focused? And he's like, yeah, just give me 2 seconds, let me finish what I'm doing with this, and then we can chat. And I cannot do that. My brain doesn't turn off in that way, and he's really great at like time management and managing, you know, a thought that he's on before he goes to the next. And I'll sit there with like my arms crossed, and I'm like stewing, and then he'll turn and he's like, he can like schedule me in, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I think that's why my job is like
Pisses her off.
every time. But I'm like, I'm super hands-on and go, and he really is very controlled in everything that he does, and I think that makes us both successful in what we do. I have to be on a swivel at all times, and I have to be ready for the next emergency, and I have to be, and Danny in what he does, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Danny in what he does has to be diligent in his time and constantly on the correct frame of thought when he's working through editing or like.
Right.
So it drives me insane. Like my heart rate is like elevated right now because I'm like, oh, but it serves him well. I cannot sit behind a computer. Like right now I'm working on the budget because I have to start doing grants. Like the grant cycle is going right now. So, and doing it makes me want to pull my hair out. And Danny's like, Sandy, how are you managing your time with this? And I'm like, well, I'm not, obviously.
Yeah.
And he'll sit down and he's like, maybe you should give yourself a block. Like, don't tell yourself that you've got all day. What, do you remember what that concept is? Where it's if you'll take the amount of time.
Oh, it's like Pareto's law.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 80-20, which applies to
everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
But it's like you can find yourself spending 80% of your time on 20% of your clients.
Right.
Or is that where you're going towards?
Probably, kind of. He's like, you got to manage your time. Like, give yourself an hour to do grants. Like, don't do grants.
Right.
All day. You're just going to burn yourself out. You're going to be so
Right.
frustrated. He's like, Sandy, give yourself an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, I think otherwise, if both of us were really great with time management, then we'd be super boring. But because one of us is chaotic and one of us is like really great.
Well, and I don't know if you do this, but like I'll when I first sit down at the beginning of the day, I'll write out my schedule.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to commit X amount of time to this task.
I don't do time blocks, but I have like a list. And I use a tool called Trello. So I put and I can move around real easy.
Yeah.
What I need to do first, second, third, whatever. And I put little due dates by them too.
Yeah.
And it's actually a free tool if you use just the basic version of it, but it keeps me very organized. However, I tell myself I need to get something done by a certain time. However, if it doesn't happen, it just doesn't happen. I find time elsewhere.
Is there AI built into it, or
there actually is now? I haven't used the AI tool with it yet, but there's an AI component to it as well.
I'm just curious if like how well that would do. Like it would be helpful if it was like, hey, you're running over time on this, and this task isn't that important, so you need to jump to the next one. Like. Just does that analysis for you.
Is there anything from Sandy's personality and the way she works that you've taken for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, Sandy, she goes hard.
Yeah.
Like she like as far as energy level, like doesn't have much self-pity. Like if something needs to get done.
Yeah.
And it's the end of the day, like she'll do what she needs to do to get that done. Whereas me, man, after like 4 p.m., oh my God, I'm done. I'm
He's
done.
lying to you. That's not true. 4 p.m. 4 p.m.
Well, I mean, I try not to go after 4 p.m. I try not to. Because after that, like my brain just kind of stops working after that point in time, where it'll be like 9 p.m. and, there might be something like still complicated that she needs to do and she'll just get it done. So sometimes I'm like, you know what? Like something really needs to get done. Like, got to knock it out.
Yeah. For me, by 3 p.m. every day, mentally I'm done. So I just do a bunch of the pity stuff that doesn't take a lot of brain work to do, catch up on all that. But from about 8 a.m. to about 3, that's all the like mental capacity I got every day. So.
This one is up. I'm an early riser, but this one, like he's telling you that he will quit it's such a not truth. I mean, he will blast out, like he will be working on different videos. Sometimes I'll wake up, I have chicks at his office right now. He's got it's okay.
Those chicks.
No side chicks.
no, just the fuzzy. It's chicks.
little...
We gotta get eggs, man. Like egg prices are just we gotta have our chicken.
$10 for
start the McPadden farm.
That's right. So I was like, Danny, I don't have anywhere to put these chicks without something happening. Can we put them in the office? And he's like, yeah. I'll go out there at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and he's already like editing and like sound mixing or doing whatever. Or I'll be done with my chores and things for the day, and I'll go back out there and I'm like, yo, you want to like wrap this up because like, but I admire that you think that you stop at 4.
Yeah, I don't know. It gets a little depressing when you're
Yeah.
like still cranking
Yeah.
away after, after 3 or 4 p.m. But I got an office bunny
Nice.
in my
Uh-huh.
office.
Nice. Yeah.
I tried to bring my dog in there one time to be a office dog, and he was just not having it. He loves the living room, and he's got a big bed in there, and he's like, that's my home,
Yeah.
not your crappy little office.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do have a bunny.
I always look forward to you guys' stories. You know, I think you had the emu story for a while. The emus going on, right?
We had emus at our
emu,
house.
Yeah.
They've moved on.
They
to
have
bigger
moved.
and better things.
And the alpacas. You had some alpacas.
We do.
Right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
They come in
Yeah.
for the rescue. They're a little bit trickier because
Yeah.
they require more. The emus are fun, man. Like they were really fun.
What was the emu story? Was it with the coyote?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So I told them the story of like when the coyotes kept getting in our backyard going after the smaller animals. So you let the emus out of their pen to protect the smaller animals.
Yeah.
And all they did was just destroy everything and crap all over
Like-
the
I think you said they were like velociraptors in
They
the
are.
backyard, right?
They really
Yeah.
are.
They do. They look like dinosaurs straight
They're
up.
sweet, but they don't
yeah.
realize how
Yeah.
big they are.
Yeah.
And when they
Yeah.
like they pulled all my earrings out because they want
Oh.
shiny things and they're just a little. We were sitting outside eating pizza like in the backyard and they'll just walk by you and grab your slice of pizza and just keep walking and like what are you gonna do when the bird stands as tall as you do?
Right.
You go okay, well
Right.
you have a good meal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have empathy for humans.
No.
Or anything.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got about a minute to this last segment. When we come back, we're going to discuss how someone can get a hold of you if they want to foster or if they need some of your services with animal behavior, some tips, right?
Sure.
And the same with you, Mr. McPadden. How
Alright.
they get a hold of you if they need some video advice or they need to kind of a consultation
Yep.
of what you can do for them. So.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so we got one more segment left in the marketing corner. I am your host, Sean Campbell, and we'll be right back. Last segment of the marketing corner. I'm your host, Sean Campbell. As always, we will start the last segment and thank you, John, our engineer, for helping us out through today's show and all of the sponsors, including Bill Netherton, Professional Bartenders, Unlimited, David Bradley, Medicare A to Z, Candace Eaton of C. Eaton Photography, of course, Danny McPadden, Last Bridge Media, Juan J.D. Delgado, Roofs Are Hot, Mo Russo, Executive and Business Coach, Robert Callison from eForce Marketing, and a new sponsor, Spark Project Collective. I'll tell you more about them next week. Well, actually, in 2 weeks, we got Johnny Vasquez coming in from Spark Project Collective, and next week we have David Bradley hosting the show, and I don't know who his guest is. I think he's just going to bring himself. Me and
Yeah.
David could talk forever about all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Nice.
Yeah. Sandy, if someone needs to get a hold of you to foster an animal or make a contribution to your organization, how can they do that?
Yeah, the easiest way to get a hold of us is either through social media or our website. Our website is www.littlelotusrescueandsanctuary.org if you want the mouthful. But you can look up Little Lotus Rescue and you'll find us on Instagram. And that's another really easy way to get a hold of us.
Yeah. In your behavioral health consulting, do you do that
Yeah,
as
I'm
well,
an animal
right?
behaviorist, so I'm certified canine behavior consultant and I'm a certified equine behavior consultant, so horses and dogs.
wow. Wow.
Yeah, I'm one of only, I think, 2 in the state for horses.
Wow.
Maybe a couple for dogs, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, and that's just my name, SandyMcPadden.com.
Okay. Yeah. And Mr. McPadden, Last
Yeah.
Bridge Media.
Yeah, best way is to go to my website, lastbridgemedia.com. From there, you can send an email or you'll see my phone number. You can call me.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to, just get some ideas for videos or get a consult or a free quote,
Yeah.
that's the best way to do it. Just go to my website.
Yeah. The two of you as entrepreneurs, I can tell you're very, very driven. Do you guys have separate goals for your own businesses or organizations, or do you have like a collective goal as well?
We don't have a
No
collective
collective goal. No.
Yeah. Because we
No.
talked about your big vision
Yeah.
recently.
Yep.
And it's something I know you're going to accomplish, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you talk about a little bit about what you've learned? You say, hey, Sandy, learned this today, or I messed this up, and
Yeah.
do you have any of that business time together,
Oh
or is it just kind
no,
of mixed into
like
your
we
lives?
absolutely, yeah. We're always like talking about like past experiences,
Yeah.
bouncing new ideas off of each other.
Yeah.
And a big part of this process is failure, right?
Right,
So
right.
if I tried something and it didn't quite work out the way I wanted
Yeah.
it to, then
Yeah.
like she's usually the first person that I'm gonna talk about that experience,
Yeah.
like try to help me
Yeah.
war game it and figure out what to do better next time.
Yeah. And Sandy, with your experience, I mean, how much of that, have, from some of your failures, I mean, have been some of your biggest lessons? The nonprofits listening out there, what are some of the things that maybe you would say, hey, make sure you don't do this or avoid this pitfall?
My biggest one I'm kind of stumbling through right now, actually, is not having a big end game, that I'm constantly playing catch up. This is a world where it's very passionate and it's very emotional, and I say yes as a nonprofit, where a business would say, we don't have the funding for that, we're not saying yes to that project. Unfortunately, in my nonprofit, the project is not an inanimate item. It's an animal that just got hit by a car, or it's somebody who called and said, hey, you know what, we just moved, but we left our 2 parrots at the house. If you want them, you can go get them. They're 2 hours away, which has happened many times, and I can't just say, you know what, I don't have the funding for that. I don't have the manpower to go and get them. No, I make the time happen, and I pull money out of thin air by any way that I can. So my problem is, right now I'm muddling through the catch up. I'm muddling through the one project at a time as it lands in my lap, and I'm not ahead of any of it, which is now where I have to tap Danny in a lot. And I'm saying, we can no longer, our name has been out there for too long. We've helped so many, which is all wonderful. But now it's come to the point where our emails are overflowing, our phone just doesn't stop ringing, and I want to help all of them. So, and that's why we need the property. That's why we want to move to a physical location, and that is the only way that I can see feasible, where we can still help the animals in our community, and we can still help the people in Southern Arizona, and give all of this a way to work. And that's where I'm tapping Danny in. And so Danny is very much a part of me learning, how do I get land donated? How do I get a building built? How do I make 5 acres solely cross-fenced, where I can have children with disabilities also partake in animal care and rescuing these animals? And Danny is like front seat with me, where I'm going, I have no idea how to do this. Like, what are you seeing as an outside, like not emotional, not like super invested in this? Like, what am I doing wrong? And he's like, well, have you even explored grants from anything outside of animal welfare? And I'm like, of course I haven't, And he's like, why aren't you exploring, this avenue? And he's seeing it more as a business owner, and he's able to separate the emotion from it, where sometimes I just get so muddled down. So as a nonprofit, I think a lot of us are in it because of the passion behind it. And sometimes you can get really short-sighted and you can get tangled up. And Danny has been really great about coming in and going, full stop, treat it like a business. What would you be doing if this were a bid? And I'm like, well, now that you say it like that, and sometimes I can like take off my blinders and see bigger picture. So I don't know about other nonprofits, but as I start to open my worldview a little bit and look at other nonprofits that aren't necessarily in animal welfare, and I kind of see how they do things, I'm like, oh, this is possible if I don't just treat it as a passion project, if I treat it as you would grow a business. So
yeah, if grants are, I've never done a grant before. She's done quite a few of them, but I just know from her that it is a very hard process. They take a long time to fill out. Like, I mean, they take sometimes days to fill out, and then it's just a slim chance that you'll get a return on it. But then, it's also like a big part of it is who and networking. Like, we just went to that big event, the Tucson Wildlife.
Their dinner.
Yeah. And it's like one night they raised $200,000.
Wow.
Fundraiser.
All the folks that were there, just boom, 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 making huge bids on vacations and other items, right? But it's all in the name of raising money and $200,000 in 1 year.
Yeah, that's one thing we say this every show. You know, as every entrepreneur, the first piece of advice I always give is, if you're in Tucson, you need to be 1 degree away from everybody in town. That's your first job as a
Yeah.
small business owner in Tucson. You know, because we're so tight knit and local first, and et cetera, et cetera. Your second job is to follow through and do what you say you're going to do, right? But my first job as an entrepreneur or a small business owner in Tucson is the art of, you know, shaking hand, kissing babies, you know?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely the express lane
Right.
to getting business and, you know, donations.
Yeah. Well, you know, with your experience in the military, did that help you out a little bit in your ability to network? Because for me, as an Air Force brat, you know, I'm comfortable around anybody. You know, I don't care who you're from, what you're, you know, I have grown up, you know, around all over the world, around everybody, every background, everything. I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. So that's why it's easy for me to go out and network and just, you know, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Is it easy for you?
Yeah, because in the military, you're always bouncing around from base to base, getting reassigned, and so you have to kind of assimilate into the new unit and do it quickly.
Right.
So yeah, you do get a good feel for like, all right, this is it's not going to be so bad. Like just get in there and like start asking questions of people and getting to know people.
Yeah. Now, how much networking do you do, Sandy?
I'm really bad at it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right now.
Yeah, no, I'm a lot better at it with the rescue, with a nonprofit, than I am with my business. Going out and touting myself and saying, this is why you should hire me, is a lot harder for me to do. I know what my education is. I know that on my website, I say that I'm Arizona's animal behavior expert. I am. I have more education. I have more experience than other people in my field. I know, but to say that just is not.
Well, I mean, no one's going to say it for you, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
Danny
you're right.
will.
You're
Danny
right.
will, right?
They'll tout me. Yeah. For the nonprofit, I have a lot easier of a time because I'm not touting myself, right? I'm saying, hey, I need you to believe in me because of what I can do for these animals and what I can do for our community and for the kids, for every classroom that I go in and sit down and, you know, bring a rabbit or ferrets into the classroom and talk to kids about, when you move, you take your animals with you. You do not leave them behind, or you call me. You know what I mean? And we'll do this together. That's a lot easier for me. So there's a lot that I can learn from myself, you know, as you know, from nonprofit to business. But it's cool seeing Danny. Danny's really great about saying, I'm really good at this. This is why. And he can show you, you know, what he's fantastic at. And I can tout him all day long. And nonprofit version of Sandy, I can tout all day long. But I will admit that me.
Yeah.
Well,
I think your biggest challenge is your time, though, Sandy.
Truth.
You know, I mean, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's only so many hours in a day, and I think people tend to underestimate the time it actually takes to do most tasks.
Right. Where you and I are a bigger advantage because we can, you know, manage our work, and you know when you're going to be on set, you know, and then we can still fit in. Yeah, I got this networking event, or I got to do this and this and this tonight.
Yeah.
Whereas Sandy, I mean, you get a call, you're on the fly.
You never know when when an emergency call is going to pop up with an animal that's like dying. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, we just got to clone you. That's all we got to do.
Man, no, it's good that I've got energy now.
Hey, her horse that she has at her boarding facility just got its head stuck in the fence, right? Like started like flopping around and basically like strangling itself, you know.
We have hay nets. We have hay nets to keep. The goal with horses is you always want to mimic like what they would be doing with their time budget if they were wild or if they were feral, right? So if you have a horse in a stall and you give them hay and they're done eating in an hour, but then what's happening with their body the rest of the day? They're not digesting the way they should, right? So my goal is always to make sure that we're giving animals the opportunity that we have in our care to. We encourage these natural behaviors. Well, anyways, we had a hay net, and what these nets do is they slow down their feeding so they can have food throughout the day. Well, Pod decided that it was a great idea to toss around the hay net, and he got his head stuck. So I got a frantic call in the morning, and I yelled for the kids, get in the car, we got to go right now. It was resolved. He's fine, but that's a good morning.
I knew we would have some good stories today. Yeah. Yeah.
We
They're
could
good
keep going
after.
for another like 4 hours.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining the Marketing Corner today. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Danny. Thank you, Sandy, for taking the time to be in here. This
Yeah.
is a really cool show
Yeah.
today. I really appreciate it. The vulnerability of kind of telling how you guys work together, and sometimes you don't work together, and how you get through it. So
Yeah.
I was
It's been fun, man.
yeah,
Appreciate
yeah.
it.
I don't know if you saw the social post I did to promote this, but I was like, the McPaddens are taking over.
Oh, well, I'm surprised there was no Grease references, Sandy and Danny.
No, I did not want to do that. I let you. You did
Yeah,
it though.
yeah.
So thank you all for tuning into the Marketing Corner. As always, we are live at 10:30 a.m. at 11 to noon every Saturday. Appreciate it. And remember, next week we have myself and David Bradley. Look forward to it. And go Cats. I think we got Iowa State today. So go Cats.
Encourage local community support on behalf of Toys for Tots. To learn more about how you can help, visit toysfortots.org and help bring hope to a child's future.